Good morning, new 1%. It's Satoshi Boomin coming at you with another video. Guys, please hit that red subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a Satoshi Boomin video. Guys, we got these videos every day, VeChain and Cardano twice a day. You don't want to miss them. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified. Got my hot tea and honey locked and loaded, ready to go. Let's get this show started, guys. Quickly, we're going to talk about the price. Then we're going to get into the Lex Fridman interview with Charles Hoskinson, over 5 hours long. Don't worry, guys. We're only going to be playing a few clips. Then talking a little bit about some news throughout the Cardano ecosystem. And then at the end, there's a short video about delegating ADA that I think would be valuable. So let's get right into it, guys. We're still here at about $1.50. Not really too much to talk about when it comes to price, so we're not going to spend too much time here, guys. I think it's going to go up. That's the only thing I really got to say about it. So moving on, guys. Thank you to our wonderful sponsor here, Poop Pool, ticker symbol POOP. Please consider delegating to small stake pool operators, guys. Do your part for the decentralization of the Cardano ecosystem. Thank you to Poop Pool for sponsoring this video. Keep rocking. You guys are doing amazing. And yeah, if you have some extra ADA, please consider delegating to them. All right, guys, so we are going right to the interview here, guys. We're only going to be playing about 3 or 4 clips here. Again, it's a 5-hour long interview, guys. I mean, it's full of gold. It's full of gold. But without further ado here, let's take a look at one of the questions that I thought that was really the most important question, is playing devil's advocate. How can Cardano fail? The reason why we want to know, or why we want to ponder how Cardano can fail, is because we want to be able to address these issues. We want to be able to attack them when they do come. And Charles gives us a good answer, a very good answer about some ways that Cardano can fail. So let's take a look at it, and then we'll move on.
So, Reddit, any sentence that starts with Reddit, you know it's going to be fun. The top question on the Cardano subreddit, which is quite a wonderful place, by the way,
Thank you.
Was, can you get Charles to play devil's advocate against Cardano? If it's going to fail, what would failure look like, and what are the most likely reasons it would fail?
Okay, well, there's the failure. For example, I said one of the project goals was to achieve self-evolution. So if it doesn't achieve that, where it can evolve itself iteration by iteration, then obviously the product didn't do what was intended. Right? If it continuously required the supervision of custodians in order for it to succeed, the system just won't work. The good news is we have a lot of data showing the opposite. We used to run a federated model, and now we're completely decentralized for block production, but that didn't just happen overnight. I mean, there was a whole process with the incentivized testnet and the Stake Pool Pioneers program and the launch of Shelley and the decrementing of the decentralization parameter. And every step of the way, people showed up and had to do things, and we went from several to thousands of people who were regularly maintaining the infrastructure. But there's no guarantee that that would be sustainable. And there's no guarantee that the next step, the smart contract step, will achieve what we want. And the next step, the governance step, will achieve what we want. I mean, it's an experiment in all these types of things. All cryptocurrencies, all companies are, in a sense, experiments when they are evolving the business model. And as our case, our business is systems and society. We're offering to the world a vision of how to run humanity in a different way. And the only way the system can do that is by millions of people joining the system, self-evolving the system, and growing it in that particular direction. Another failure scenario would be the system evolves in the wrong direction. So it's self-evolving, but it goes into a more centralized dystopian way, and that's problematic as well.
What would that look like? What would dystopia, self-evolution toward dystopia look like?
A small group of actors have total control over who gets to use the system and how they get to use the system, and your use of the system is monitored and shared with that small group of actors. So social credit in China is a great example of that. A small group of people have access to that, and then your experience in Chinese society is determined by it. So that's an example of a failure mode. And then another could be just network effect. We start experiencing a churn rate, and inputs don't match the outputs, and that you lose more than you gain, and then over time the system dies off. However, that's really hard in practice. Once you reach a certain network effect, even if you become stagnant and stale, you tend not to lose your users. And our evangelism is unbelievable in the Cardano community. I think we're number one for tattoos, And that's, if you think about that, it's a strange metric to have, but there are brands that associate that way, like Apple and Harley Davidson and so forth. People tend to actually tattoo the logo. Those people don't leave. They don't actually walk away from the ecosystem. They're fanboys to the core. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that are here for life. They don't care if it's dollar ADA, 2 cent ADA. They believe in the mission, vision, and value of what we wish to achieve, and they've become evangelists in that respect. So the question is, does that community sustain itself? And also, does that community not make the same sins and mistake of Bitcoin, where they become toxic and maximalistic, and they start becoming highly religious about whatever beliefs they have? My hope is our community will be open and Socratic and love the scientific method and be willing to entertain ideas without adopting them and discard ideas that are proven to be wrong. If we become dogmatic and embrace an orthodoxy that is counterproductive to innovation, then it'll stall out the ecosystem. And you'll notice I never said price in any of this. I never said, hey, failure is if the price goes way down, and success is if the price goes way up. That's unfortunately the metric that most people use, but I couldn't care less about it. Because, if the reality is, if you construct a system that encompasses the entire globe and has billions of users, it's probably going to be a pretty valuable system. That's a secondary thing. It's an after effect of having success in adoption, use, and utility. Unfortunately, most people on Reddit and Twitter and other channels, they tend to just judge your entire success based on that. I had very few people when Shelley launched, even though it took us 4 years to get there, a lot of work, say congratulations on Shelley. But I had a lot of people when ADA reached the dollar say, we're so proud of you, amazing work, congratulations, and so forth. And that's probably the most disheartening thing about the whole being around and doing this stuff, where all the things you do only matter as long as it's making someone else rich. And in a way, I feel almost like a failure, because that mindset means that we haven't yet inculcated the community in a proper way, saying, hey guys, this is about more than money. It's about more than the value of ADA. What we're attempting to do here is re-engineer the way society works. I'd like your voting to be different. I'd like your property to be different. I'd like you on your cell phone to have a universal wallet. And when you go to Starbucks or wherever, you can buy your coffee with silver or gold or airline miles or something like that, and they get paid whatever the hell they want to get paid. And I want those rails to be done with a system that puts you in charge, not someone else. And they say, yeah, that's all fine and great. As long as ADA is $5, we're all happy. You see, so that's a problem. There are, of course, other things that could fail, like, we could lose project cohesion, lots of people could quit and die. But again, there's so much momentum, there's so many things here, the ideas are already out there, and there's no intellectual property. When you publish 100 papers, you write 1 million lines of code, that's something, and it's permanent. And it's in the commons now, so it's just as much yours as it is mine. So there's no notion that somehow, if the core development company disappeared, then that concept is lost forever, like the Library of Alexandria burning to the ground. It's there, and someone else will take it, fork it, and get it done.
So, first of all, that's fascinating. The self-evolution, you don't know which trajectories that's going to take. But also there could be singular events, like bugs in the system create an opportunity to hack the system. Is that something that you see as a potential failure case?
Yeah, it's always a possibility. Bugs can exist. There can be flaws in the protocol design. Zcash was a great example of that, where there was a subtle flaw and it damaged the fidelity of the cryptocurrency in ways no other cryptocurrency's ever experienced. Normally when you have a bug, the bug, you can see it, like the Bitcoin overflow, the value overflow incident. Yes, Bitcoin can be created, but we can verify they weren't. So the monetary policy is preserved. When you have a bug with a private system like Zcash and it exists on the shielded side, there's no guarantee, unless you can audit the total supply inside that shielded side. My understanding is you can't, that somebody didn't exploit the bug and create trillions of these coins out of thin air, just hiding them on that system and dripping them out. And so the monetary policy is forever damaged as a consequence of a bug like that. It's probably the worst type of bug you can have for these types of products. So, no matter how good of a job you do, they have great scientists, there are great people there, great engineers there. You can always have something like that seep its way in, leak its way in, and that lurks in the distance. But if that's a problem shared with every one of your neighbors,
true.
it's like everybody working at a nuclear power plant. Well, yeah, you can all die of radiation poisoning. Well, we all kind of knew that, didn't we?
Yeah, some interesting words. I liked what he said there. Again, there's a lot of things that can come in and disrupt. But again, it's important for us to know these things. It's important for us to see them so we can work on them, not to spread FUD or anything like that. Again, it's about being an informed investor. So great commentary there. We're going to show a couple more here. It's running a little bit longer than I had hoped. Just a couple more.
Those kind of competitors, I don't know if you would put it that way, but if you look in the space of ideas,
so here they're going to be talking about Cardano versus Polkadot and other competitors. This is a bit shorter. Let's take a listen to what Charles has to say.
competitor cryptocurrencies like Polkadot.
Yeah.
What are some interesting differences between Cardano and Polkadot? Technically, philosophically, historically, is that something you think about when you think about the future of Cardano?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We actually have a whole group of people that do business intelligence and comparative analysis, and we're getting to a point where we want to start eventually forking their code and running private versions of it, and just playing around with things.
Well, that's
getting
fascinating.
better at understanding. Consensus actually does this. They actually did it with EOS, and they wrote this lovely report like trashing EOS, saying, hey, by the way, all those claims these guys made are just not true. But it's nice to do that. It's nice to use your competitor's technology or competing protocol technology, because you learn a lot along the process. It's not all bad. There's always something there because they have different trade-offs and customers that potentially are more interesting. Like right now, we're grokking how do we want to do the sidechain model of Cardano. Polkadot's actually a tremendously useful piece of infrastructure for that conversation because they copied part of our infrastructure. Gavin's a trained computer scientist. He got his PhD from York, and he read our papers, obviously, and he realized that Ouroboros was a really good starting place for building a proof-of-stake system. So Polkadot's consensus is very similar to ours. And so if you're saying, hey, how do you do a good sidechain model with an Ouroboros-style proof-of-stake? Well, we already have this parachain thing, right? And so now by just looking at that, I can kind of get an idea of one way of doing it. And so that's just beautiful that we live in a space where that's there, it's open source, and if it's really good, you just say, okay, well, we'll just take that and adopt that. There's no shame, The other side of it is that Polkadot really has focused a lot on commercial adoption, Silicon Valley adoption, getting real use and utility, I say in a much more sustainable way than Ethereum is focused on. Ethereum was kind of a spray and pray thing. Polkadot was more of like, hey, let's go ahead and actually curate our ecosystem more carefully. And we're going to build it in a way where there's predictable or as predictable a cost as possible with the rollout of the infrastructure. And that's so important for a business. It's not necessarily important for an experiment or a startup where they're just trying to get population as quickly as possible. We'll figure out later. But if you're actually sitting here saying, I need to know what my expenses are 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into the future, you need predictability there. Mm-hmm. I think they have a better shot of it than anything in F2 or with currently Ethereum. Now, the big contrast between the two systems, though, is we actually have native multi-asset. We have a different accounting model. I think our base ledger is far more expressive. Our rate of evolution with proof of stake is much faster than theirs because they're based on derivative work, and we already have Ouroboros Omega and other things there. And I think we have a better sidechain model will come because we have something called Mithril for that. But we learned a lot from their work. The other thing is that we thought about governance a lot more carefully, in my view. And we have Catalyst and Voltaire, and really the key there is saying, how do we make sure that every single person who holds data can participate in the network? That wasn't a high design priority of Polkadot. It was more fast commercial adoption, the acquisition of customers. We'll come to governance later, and those were just different business philosophies. But it's nice to have a competitor like that. And oftentimes I've said that Polkadot's like Ethereum 1.5. It's what F2 probably should have been. There was what Vitalik wanted to do, which was incredibly aggressive and brilliant, but it's a lot. And there's so much execution risk in that plan. And I think they've had like 6 years of playing around with it. Had they gone down the Polkadot road, they probably would have been in market with it in 2018. And because they already had the network effect, they would have had years of building on that, iterating that. And they already had a path to it, too. All they had to do was just give Elaine Shih and her cohorts at Cornell, a $5-10 million grant. Snow White would have been the dominant protocol, not Ouroboros in the proof-of-stake space. So it's really fascinating historically when you look at these things, the rivalries and what they did and what they didn't do. And, Gavin had a chance to have C++ Ethereum be used as IBM's enterprise blockchain. The only reason they didn't do it is, it was licensed GPL, and I think they wanted to relicense Apache. If you ever talk to Bob Summerwall, he was there at the time, and he had this amazing story about like these terrible fights where, it's like, guys, just relicense the goddamn code. Let's figure out a way to make this happen so that we can, get this huge network effect of being basically IBM's play.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't.
So we can see here Cardano versus Polkadot. Competition is good, guys. There's going to be plenty of different chains, plenty of different protocols. They're all going to live and work together in crypto, guys. So tribalism isn't really necessary, okay? Cardano's going to be just fine with Polkadot. Cardano's going to be just fine with Ethereum. Things are going to be A-okay in my humble opinion. I wanted to show one more clip, but it's running a lot longer than I thought it was going to run, guys. So let's move on here. World Mobile raised about $40 million in Cardano-based token sale. So the token sale happened a couple days ago, guys. And the press release says that the company aims to raise about $40 million within its first 5 weeks, in addition to the $5 million it raised privately. The KYC is set to go live 2 days ago. You got a KYC. Unfortunately, American citizens can't buy World Mobile token because the government of America sucks ass sometimes. You do need a Cardano address. You can buy it with ADA, BNB, BTC, or Ethereum. Once you buy the coin, it'll be airdropped to your address. They say here, globally, 1.7 billion adults remain unbanked, according to the World Bank, despite many of the technological advancements many of us take for granted. Most traditional banks require a manual onboarding process that rely on credit bureaus to identify client identity. These manual in-person procedures deny many demographics from basic services such as the ability to open an account, apply for a loan or mortgage, or obtain access to other financial opportunities. So again, World Mobile aims to bring a sustainable connectivity to communities in Africa and beyond via the World Mobile Token Sharing Economy. The company sells affordable network nodes to business owners and implements blockchain digital-based identities, in turn empowering the African continent with greater economic freedom, digital inclusion, blockchain adoption, and connection to the internet. All great things, guys. So if you were able to pick up some World Mobile token below, let me know. And yeah, I can't wait to see what these guys have up their sleeve. Quickly moving on here, we've got Coconut Pool. They have these this is a really cool idea. I like this here. I'm making available as open source the complete original set of Learn Cardano Twitter cards, as seen daily here, unbranded. Comes in 4 colors, available on GitHub. So this is actually pretty cool, guys. They have like flashcards for people to learn ADA. I think that this is pretty cool. They come in different colors here. Yeah, I just thought it was cool. So there you go. And then finally, guys, we already know that Cardano and World Mobile Token, they're working together with the country of Tanzania and other places in Africa. Mr. Telecom here from World Mobile Group post, early bird catches the worm. And then here we have a post from the Tanzanian, from Market Meditations. The Tanzanian president urges central bank to prepare for crypto. So other dominoes are following. If we take a look here really quickly, Tanzania appears to be the latest emerging economy poised to embrace Bitcoin and crypto assets. The Tanzanian president urged the country's central bank to begin exploring crypto assets. They emphasized the increasing impact on digital assets in global finance. We have witnessed the emergence of a new journey through the internet. And she highlighted the lack of crypto adoption and development in East African region. Throughout the region, including Tanzania, they have not accepted or started using these routes. Well, that's changing with Cardano. And while African legislators have been slow to recognize and encourage crypto throughout the economy, the region has been a hotspot for peer-to-peer Bitcoin trading for years. Not to mention, again, the Cardano Africa project coming in, giving Ethiopians Alta Prism, that's starting. World Mobile Token starting in Tanzania. There's a lot of good stuff coming to the Cardano ecosystem, guys. All right, so I'm sorry this video went longer than I had imagined. Charles is quite long-winded sometimes. But again, guys, please take a look at this entire... if you got to spare 5 hours, you're probably going to binge watch Netflix anyway. You might as well get some learning in you. All right, guys? I'm going to wrap things up. I've got a busy day ahead. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon subscribers, AJ Bergella, Casper Harris, Sergio, Les Nielsen, The Fernline, Jeffrey, Ethan, AmericanHomeRemedies.com, Maryland for Crypto, Boost Wayne, Feruz Dim, Brady Adams, Joe Menace, Kyle Bocci, CryptoSVT.si, Eric Parra, Ed The Voice for the People, HBDSouthBay.com, Ryan Ingram, Daniel A, Crypto Chemtrails, Climax DH, Andrew Schroyer, Craig Wadding, C. Vale, Maker.Crumbs, Bearder, Leon Jackson, Jacob Connor, and Yaya. I love you guys so much. Don't let your memes be dreams, and I will talk to you tomorrow with the VeChain and Cardano updates. Have a great day.